Hello, I'm Lulu,
Hi, I'm Rose.
and we're running to be student body co-class presidents for the 2024 school year.
Okay, so starting off, what are your core values?
Our core values in our campaign is inclusivity, accessibility, and specifically with accessibility, affordability. Rose, do you want to talk about that?
We are trying to get some foundation grants and also financial aid for students that want yearbooks but can't afford them, especially this being, a lot of students final senior year, we really want to get students yearbooks so they can remember their high school experience.
Absolutely. Yearbooks can cost up to $75, and that isn't a price many people can afford, including me. And so I would like a senior yearbook for my senior year, and so that's what came up with the idea. And then also senior photos. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, we are hoping to bring in some photographer that can really help us out with a lot of seniors that can't afford traditional senior photos, so then they can still have a photo of themselves that they still really like going into the yearbook, and the photo that they can just keep as a memory for years to come.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you believe your candidacy is unique?
I believe it is unique because we come with a unique perspective with Student Senate. I've been a part of Student Senate all 4 years, so I've seen many different ways it's run. I ran the social media during COVID and saw how the student body would interact when there wasn't much of a school to go to, and how do you talk to every student when COVID's going on and prom was on the turf and we had to figure out how's prom gonna work. So I think that our candidacy is unique because we've gone through these challenges before on trying to unite students, more difficult than they are now, and I fully think that we could do it again. Rose, why do you think our candidacy is unique?
I think it's unique because also Lulu and I are part of various clubs at City High, and we're kind of all around, and we definitely know a lot of students from different backgrounds and can bring their voices and hopefully themselves to Student Senate. Mm-hmm. And just bring in new perspectives financial aid and inclusivity to Student Senate.
Yeah, I often felt I was not represented in Student Senate, whether it be that it's just not my group of friends that goes, or the things I care about just weren't being talked about. So we really want to make sure that what students care about is mirrored in what our student representation in Student Senate looks like. And we know that talking to all these juniors and students around the school during our campaign, that what students talk about and care about often is not represented in what our conversations look like at Student Senate, so we want to change that.
Why do you believe you should be elected?
We believe we should be elected, because of our unique perspective, and also I think we could just bring a lot of change to City High, right? Lou and I have already started planning into the summer outreach to them that would then go into next year. And we both have a lot of ambition, which means that we're going to put a lot of work into it. And I do genuinely believe that we can afford a yearbook for every student. We can get every student the senior picture, and we can equalize what the yearbook looks like at the end for students.
Yeah, what senior year could look like should be for everyone and not just a specific group. I also believe we're most qualified. I am the only candidate that's been part of Student Senate all 4 years. Me and Rose have such a diverse array of clubs we are part of. We both serve on district-wide committees already for school improvement, and I go to the state legislature twice a year to advocate for youth issues. I know what I'm doing, and I really feel I can bring my advocacy work I've done beyond school to school and make everyone's senior year the best year yet.
What initially made you interested in running?
I would say, I talked about it a bit earlier, not seeing me represented in Student Senate. It's a horrible metaphor. I sometimes feel like I'm a pufferfish because when I don't see myself represented, I get really spiky and I don't want to talk to anyone. And I'm like, oh, these people don't care about me, or I just kind of push people away. I want to be someone that people feel like they can talk to. I don't want anyone to feel like a pufferfish the way I used to feel. I really want Student Senate to be you can talk to the leaders and you don't feel ousted or feel like it's a clique that you're not a part of. How about you, Rose?
I'd say that at first I just joked around about running with Lulu for co-class presidents, but once we actually sat down and started brainstorming, which also taking inspiration from Rebecca and Ayla's presidency,
Yes.
the changes that they brought, realized that this is a position where we could genuinely do change.
Yeah, Rebecca and Ayla inspired us a lot because they served on these equity advisory committees that I served on district-wide, and they showed how you could bring that work we do there to work that you could do in the high school, and I realized, oh my God, there's a lot more you can do with this role than just plan prom.
What specific goals do you have?
That we haven't mentioned. Senior Volunteer Day.
Yeah, we want to bring Senior Volunteer Day back, which is actually an idea we got from interviewing teachers, and of course, like one of our goals is just to get like more communication going with teachers and just like students and clubs in general.
And the community, especially
yeah.
with Senior Volunteer Day.
And also like just organizations from like the university or something, like we want to collaborate with, like Native American clubs from the university to like plan something for Native American History Month, plan something for like Latino Heritage Month, and just like bring in like outside help from like outside of City High help to just like
Really diversify the experience at City High for what's available to students. Speakers come a lot. We would really like speakers from a diverse group of people to come speak to City High students because we know it's possible, and it just takes some students advocating for it, and me and Rose are passionate about it.
Yeah.
And how do you plan to encourage students to get involved in this stuff?
Making it sound like it's the most awesome thing ever. I don't know, talking to people, like just saying like, yes, hey, what do you want the prom theme to be? Talking to people at lunch tables, talking to people advisory, talking to your classes, saying that it's like civic engagement and voting in these things. You can kind of prove with this campaign. In the last couple of years, I have not seen the presidency get as involved as it has this year. People actually care about their vote this year, which is surprising to me because it's not usually like this. And I think people are realizing that like, hey, they do a lot, and like this is a big decision, and we really want to show that like there's a lot of important decisions to make through talking to other people, mainly just what do you think?
Honestly, just like letting like people know how much like their opinions can really like influence us, right? Because I was like someone from Student Senate has to like come up with like the prom or like homecoming theme, and like suddenly that's like what like the end of the year is like centered around. Yeah.
That's exactly right, and it's often like 20 people in a meeting, and we know that's not how it should be. So we're gonna get ideas through just constant conversation and making sure that voting is a conversation, not just a Google form Mr. Bacon sends out. We would really like to get to a point where people are engaged and come to those big student senate meetings in Opstad and have a good conversation about it.
Do you have any previous leadership roles that demonstrate your abilities as a leader?
You started Latino Hawks,
Yeah, I am founder and right now also president of Latino Hawks, which is City High's Latino Union. And I think the majority of the kids that actually go to the club are new to the country, like students that really don't know their way around school, students that like can't speak English. And through ambassadors have also given those like students like tours of the school. My other like leadership roles are, part of the Little Hawk. Next year will be my second year as an executive. And I've been, I think, editor for the Little Hawk like ever since I joined.
I'd say I would just talk about my state level advocacy. I've been really passionate since freshman year on getting equitable curriculum in schools. I got a bill sponsored, and with our legislature, you can't really get farther than a bill sponsored. But I've had this passion to make our schools a more healthy and comfortable place, because I know that plays very heavily into mental health, because you spend 8 hours a day here, right? So my leadership roles, I'm the head of the education committee for State of Iowa Youth Advisory Council. And I'm talking to legislature back and forth about stuff like that. I'd say that's my biggest influence on what's helped me shape for what education could look like at City High.
How do you plan on carrying out your campaign promises?
Communication and transparency mostly. We really want students to be at Student Senate meetings. We want students to kind of like keep us in check and remind us like, hey, you ran on like doing this, like, do you still plan on doing it? Because I think that, really like our involvement and like what we can do comes from like the power that students give us.
Yeah, these students have half of what we do is just talking to students. They're like, hey, this would be really cool if we did this. Senior photos, we could totally credit students for telling us that this is something that they would like. And so that of course would be us figuring that out. But stuff like these celebrations and days, that's gonna be with students, and as long as students stay interested, I really believe it will happen. Students want something to happen. I 100% believe that if we reach out, it will happen.
You've talked about mental health on your Instagram and stuff. What will you specifically do to help the student body's mental health?
You can take this.
I talked about it a bit with how a general culture of inclusivity at a school can heavily improve mental health. But often that is such a broad ideal, you know, that we need to focus on specific resources. Collaborating, I work at United Action for Youth. So collaborating with United Action for Youth on resources for students, particularly in the Nest, and having days to specifically talk about mental health, such as Suicide Prevention Day, Mental Health Awareness Month, etc., to really have these speakers come in, have people that know what they're saying come in, have these conversations. The Nest is not funded by Student Senate. That is out of our control. However, what we can do is have events that promote the Nest and talk about what students aren't getting from the Nest and how we can better solve that in other facets, which will be a huge thing that we will do. What do you think, Rose?
Well, I think that collaborating with UAY is definitely a must. You know, they have great resources. Lulu also works there, which is like already a foot in the door.
Yeah.
How do you plan to address the diverse wants and needs of the student body? Because obviously everyone wants different things.
Advocating for them to come to Student Senate meetings, and also prioritizing the Friday meetings, because the Tuesday ones can be inaccessible to a lot of people. So prioritizing and really like pushing for the Friday meetings more than the Tuesday ones.
Yeah, we struggled this year. Rose and I both have to get to school really early in the mornings. Rose takes the bus. I took the bus last year, and I don't have a car, so I figure out my way to school every day. Tuesday morning meetings at 8 a.m. are not easy if you don't drive yourself. That's why a majority is upperclassmen, because it's like they can drive themselves here. But we really want to focus on a Friday meeting because we make sure everyone in the school can go, because everyone is in the school. That's a big thing for us with accessibility.
How do you plan to best communicate with the student body?
Just talking to them, I guess.
Social media, every year we say the Student Senate social media will be active, and then it isn't. Rose and I will actually I created the social media, I will keep it active. Yes, I think it fell on the role of the secretary. It may be the same way, but me and Rose will be constantly telling people to follow it, outreach on it. Also just talk to us. We really want to be available. I think we're gonna ask a lot of questions. Rose and I are natural journalists. We like to ask people questions. We like to hear what people want to say. I think that a lot of questions and conversation starting will happen.
What strategies do you have to raise money and make sure the money is distributed equitably?
A lot of communication with parents, because I really do think that if parents like knew about clubs that needed funding, parents would like reach out, they would help. Also keeping stuff going like the winter carnival and just like general fundraisers that Student Senate usually has, but kind of like working on them harder to make them bigger and just to get families more involved.
I totally agree. I am the representative for the PSTO, Parent Student Teacher Organization. These parents 100% would help out if we just reached out. Student Senate has had, I am supposed to be invited to meetings every month. I've only been invited to like 2, and I've done this for 2 years. So reestablishing this communication of like, hey, I am here, and these students really want to, like, you know, I know you all have money. Like, we kind of want this money. And yeah, you can, I believe that. I'd say that's a huge one. Also, the district foundation, nonprofits, there's a lot of ways, and then distributing it equally. Club grants have a max amount they can get. We listen to what their needs are and we give them a fit amount. That is an established process that we will continue to follow.
That should be it. Is there anything you'd like to tell the Little Hawks or anything like that? Anyone watching?
Go Little Hawks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.